Hey everyone, welcome to this week's installment of Obscura Undead, your weekly update for music news, tour news, band news, and music reviews. I'm Azzy.
And I'm Mouse.
And we have a lot of exciting things to talk about this week.
All right, let's get into it. Drab Majesty. So Drab Majesty announced that they're releasing a new album on Dias Records. It'll be coming out on
July 12th.
July 12th. It's called Modern Mirror. And you can get one track now if you go to their Bandcamp. And it's called Ellipsis. Also of note, they just released their new music video for Ellipsis.
And it is bizarre and amazing and a 90s VCR wonderland.
And beautiful.
It's beautiful.
As Drab Majesty is prone to do.
Yeah, on Bandcamp, you can pre-order the digital album. I think it's about $8 USD. But if you go to the Dias Records page, which we'll have linked below, they currently have vinyl and t-shirt bundles. They were originally offering the vinyl in clear blue, clear red, clear, Coke bottle, clear, and black. And, of course, Coke bottle and blue are completely sold out.
Well, the Coke bottle one sold out because it was a bundle with a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. So that was just announced a couple of days ago, and they're already selling out. So if you want those vinyl, go grab them now. Mine will be red.
I think I saw that they had a lot of the black vinyl still left. Like that, of course, is going to be their biggest run.
That's going to be their least sought after as well.
Yeah.
Who wants black vinyl?
If you've ever followed Drab Majesty and just the sheer number of colors they release on, like you'll end up with an entire wall of just Drab Majesty.
And I think as a follow-up to the demonstration, it sounds like with Ellipsis that we can expect more of the same, maybe a little bit more lush guitar style, and plenty of options on vinyl if you're addicted to colored vinyl like we are. So even the last run of demonstration, there was a lot of splatter options available.
And so many of those sold out really fast too, which was really disappointing to be quite honest. But I'm actually kind of hoping with this album they go a little bit more in the direction of their first album, Careless. I liked that one a little bit better than the demonstration. But I know. But I did really like the teaser track Ellipsis. I thought it was just beautiful.
I liked that little running man in the video, so make sure you check it out. Every time that dude's running, I'm doing a little dance. I love it.
Another music video that premiered this week was from the band Ghostland. They are a Grecian, I don't know, can I say Grecian?
Yeah.
They're Athenian. They're a post-punk band from Greece, and they had released their debut LP.
Dances on Wall. I think last December. Sometime in early December. It was late 2018. It might have been November, December.
Mm-hmm. And the track that they released was Leave Behind, and it's a really great music video. It's pretty much entirely in black and white. It's exactly as dramatic as you'd want your post-punk to be.
And it's a beautiful track. If you haven't picked up this album, you definitely should. You can get it on Bandcamp. My favorite track is Sway. I still have that song on repeat. I think it's really lovely.
See, I really like Leave Behind, so that's why I was so excited to see them put a music video out for it. And this album is on Manic Depression Records, and if you're familiar with Manic Depression Records, it's pretty much par for the course of what you find on there. Their back catalog is actually pretty great, too.
And finally, Rosetta Stone, that's a name we haven't heard in a long time, has just released a new music video for their upcoming album. The video is called Tomorrow for Us, and the album's going to be called Seems Like Forever, appropriately titled. That album's coming out on May 15th on Cleopatra Records.
It should be noted that this entire album is a bunch of Misery Lab remasters and re-releases.
And Misery Lab is actually a side project of Porl King from Rosetta Stone. So these songs most of them have already been released on his Misery Lab project.
I think all of them have already been released.
I think there might be a couple of exclusives. I'm not sure if we have the track listing yet for the Rosetta Stone album.
We do. I had thought that it was mostly just re-releases.
I think. We'll have to, debatable. So we'll have to take a look at that. There might be. I thought there was 2 songs on there that are new.
But all right. Either way, the track that they put out the music video for Tomorrow for Us, it's actually pretty great. I shouldn't say actually. The track is just really great. I'm speaking more towards the music video, which is really interesting. They recorded it in a abandoned building, so there's a lot of graffiti, and I don't know how to really sort of like describe it, but
I actually didn't watch it. I'll watch it today, but it sounds like you're describing an industrial music video.
It did kind of have a little bit of that vibe, because I have to admit here, I don't really know what Pearl King looks like.
So you're not even sure if it was Pearl King in the video.
Well, right. The thing is that I'm face blind, so I have a hard time recognizing faces anyway. And he had a big black bar across his eyes and like goggles and a hood, so I assume it was him.
We don't know.
But the video was pretty great. It did look like an industrial video. There were a lot of hoods. It was a green outfit and a red outfit, and that doesn't help describe it to anyone.
Because that's what industrial videos are all about, kids. You heard it here first. All right, move on.
All right, so we have a couple of things that we can look forward to in the next week as well. So Minuit Machine. If you aren't familiar with this band, it is the project of Amandine and Hélène de Thoré from Hante. Sorry, Honte, which we were corrected.
So most people who aren't French, they probably didn't understand most of that. So I've been calling it Minuit Machine.
I think it's Minuit Machine. I'm not sure.
Now that you've said it, it sounds right. Minuit Machine and Haunt, which people in the U.S. say. I know it's pronounced Haunt apparently, but I'm still gonna say Haunt because that's what I've been saying for.
I'll keep saying
7 years.
I will keep saying Hante.
So they got back together, which is amazing. So we're gonna have some new music available very soon. Mm-hmm. The album comes out. I forgot.
Do they have a date up?
Yes. And it looks like that new album is going to be dropping on May 13th. And the good news that we have is that a new music video will be dropping before that. I guess it's called Drugs without the vowels, because vowels are out of style. Not sure if you knew, but you heard it here first, folks. And the video will come out next week. So in our next installment, hopefully we'll be able to review that for you.
The still images of it look great, though. They're very purple.
We love purple.
We love purple.
All right. Anything else on that?
On Minuit Machine? No. I don't think so.
All right.
I wish we had more news to tell you about. We've been like waiting at the edge of our seats like every single day, waiting for new just news on this.
Oh,
very excited.
If you go to obscuraundead.com, we do have an interview with Hélène de Thoré of Aunts, and she talks a little bit about Minuit Machine, so make sure to go look that up. All right, moving on.
Yeah, we also have some upcoming releases without music videos next week. We have the side project by Kaylin Mikla's, I believe it's their synth player,
Solveig Matthildur.
Mm-hmm. She has her solo album coming out, Constantly in Love. Which, do you know what label that's on?
I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I just go to Bandcamp. Mm-hmm. She had a couple of EP singles that came out earlier, like Dystopian Boy, Utopian Girl.
Dystopian Boy has Deb Demure on it.
Of Drab Majesty. Mm-hmm. So make sure to go check that out.
And another release that we're looking forward to is the God Complex by Siberia, which is just pretty much your straightforward goth rock. Make any of you Dark Souls happy.
All right, any other news?
For releases, no, but I did have something I wanted to talk about. So a lot of people have been wondering what happened to Goth Pikes and where they can get winkle pickers. Ever since sort of the Gothic Shoe Co. imploded and, stole a bunch of people's money and ran off into the shoe ether in the UK, people have been...
Into the sunset with goth shoes?
Yeah, Gothic Shuko. Um, People have been just, mobbing Goth Pikes with orders because they were the good boy that was left behind. They were the one that wasn't causing problems. But earlier this year, they ended up going just dark on all of their social media in January, and their shop shut down, their website went down, and they stopped posting on anything. On March 15th, they did put out a statement that says, "We are currently working to provide better service for our customers. In addition, we are also busy improving our website. We will return in April with more news and new designs for you!" Exclamation mark.
It is still April.
It is still April, and that's kind of the weird thing. Their website went back up a couple of days ago, and it really looks like someone hit publish on the website before it was ready to go live.
Ooh, I knew it.
Because they have 19 or so offerings, and their shoe prices have just a very limited range of sizes. Oh, and they're all being offered for about $9 a pair of shoes. So something's clearly going on there. They haven't put any statement out on their social media, but hopefully they're back. Hopefully it's soon enough before the festival season where they decide it's okay to come back, just to life, to resurrect. So we'll try to keep you updated on that. I know I have a lot of friends who are very worried about that. I'm sure you do too. So
people worried about their pointy shoes.
Winkle pickers are life, Mouse.
Well, if you kick people with them, yes, I'm sure. But
winkle pickers are life.
They hurt my feet.
All right, fair enough. So this week we're going to be looking at 3 EPs and a full-length album. We're going to just start right off with VR Sex's latest EP, Horseplay. If you haven't heard of this yet, this is Andrew Klinko, aka Deb Demure of Drab Majesty, performing as Noelle Scum? Scum? Scum. It's probably Scum.
That has to be an acronym for something. I'm going to go home and scramble all the letters and find out.
But this is it's not quite a side project. It's a conceptual project with Noelle Scum, who is Deb Demure, Z Oro, who is Andrew Montaigne of Antioch Arrow, and Miko Frost was Brian Tarney. So it's this conceptual project where basically the idea is that VR sex, so this cathartic release through virtual reality of all of mankind's most hedonistic urges, will solve all of mankind's greatest societal ills. So it's a really interesting album. Well, EP.
There's 4 songs?
4 songs.
4 songs. So to me, this was very reminiscent of 90s grunge. And then the VR sex, I kind of mix it up with VHS tapes. So even though they're taking a futuristic concept, it seems very retro at the same time.
I agree. And a lot of the songs feel like they take different elements from different genres. I definitely feel like there's a lot of that garage feel in there. I also feel like there's a lot of that post-punk, but also death rock, but also synthwave feel to it.
Very dirty, post-punk.
Very dirty.
But beautiful.
It's great.
Great melodies.
My absolute favorite track off of that is Landmine.
Landmine is the pinnacle track of the EP, I think. Mm-hmm. And when the album comes out, by the way, which is releasing on May 10th?
May 10th, Deus Records.
I'm pretty sure Landmine is still going to be track 2, your best track on the album.
Yeah, there is one song available for the upcoming album, Human Traffic Jam, and I think it's Surrender, which is also pretty great, but still Landmine is the best track so far from them.
All right, well, we look forward to that.
Yep. There's also a review that I did up on obscuraundead.com if you want to check that out.
All right, the next thing we have to review is the new release from Brandy Kills with the self-titled EP called Brandy Kills. I'm actually not sure if it's an EP or full length because it's 6 tracks long, so you decide. But you can get it on Bandcamp right now for digital. And if you went on Bandcamp, you can find all of their previous releases. They have a lot of content. So they've got EPs, they've got full-length albums, and it's released through Mountain Fighting Records.
And their back catalog really is pretty extensive. It dates back to, what was it, the early
2000
2010s?
13, I think maybe
Yeah.
was probably the oldest.
So this is a Russian band from
Russia.
Novosibirsk. It's, I guess, somewhere in Siberia. And it's the solo project of Igor Sharpensky. And he describes them as dark electric pop from Siberia, lost in the autumn fog. And dark electropop is a pretty good way of describing it. This album was very reminiscent of Depeche Mode, and one of the tracks just sounded exactly like Wolfsheim to me.
So I know Brandy Kills. I've listened to a lot of their previous stuff, and to me, they've always been just straight up dark wave with some synth elements, which is usually what I love. And when you messaged me and said Depeche Mode and Wolfsheim, I thought you were losing it. So then I listened to this release, and you're not wrong. So the first two tracks are very moody and beautiful, atmospheric. The third track, can't remember the name of it, but that's the one that sounds very much like Wolfsheim, like older Wolfsheim.
The entire time that I was listening to it, I was like, I think I've heard this song before. Where have I heard this song before?
It uses a lot of the same instruments that you would hear in a Wolfsheim synth pop track. Still very moody, still very dark wave. And then the fifth track, I definitely heard some old school Depeche Mode in there with the synth pop melodies. And so even though we say synth pop, more of like German or UK synth pop, so like still very somber and dreary. His vocals are very sad, which makes me happy because I like sad boy music. I love it.
Yeah,
It reminds me of Dancing Plague. Like it sounds like he's going to break out into tears at any time, and I just love that. Good job.
The last EP that we looked at is Pawn's latest, Monuments of Faith. It's a 3-track EP, and this was my favorite EP of all three that we looked at.
It's right up your alley.
Yeah, it's pretty punky death rock, and I just loved it. Especially the third track where it got really moody and he had those deep brooding vocals that I absolutely adore.
Is there 4 tracks total?
No, it's 3.
3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last track I also agreed was the best. I thought it was a little bit slower.
It was.
And moodier, and it was
was
cool. It was brooding. I guess in the liner notes it's compared to Bauhaus, and I did hear a little bit of that of the Bauhaus punk rocky songs, but a lot more layered. Moody brooding is how I would describe it, and definitely death rock.
Right. Their last release, The Gallows, which I think was 2017, it was a lot punkier than this one. This one was definitely a little bit more on like, the death rock gothier side, which I loved The Gallows, and I love Monuments of Faith even more. So this is absolutely my favorite.
I will check out The Gallows. I haven't listened to that yet.
It's great. Do recommend. And this album came out, so Pawns keeps flipping labels on us, which causes us a confuzzle every time we go looking for it. So this one they released on Near Dark, which is an Oakland-based label, and that's where their vinyl is going through. But they also released in the UK on Inflammable Material Records. And one cool thing about Near Dark is supposedly they're having a festival later this year, which
is probably in California.
Oh, absolutely. They're in Oakland.
Which we won't be there.
No, we won't be there, sadly. But I love all of the like festivals that are popping up all over the US. Yes. It makes me so happy for where our music scene is right now.
Like Cold Waves will also be in September.
And that's in Chicago?
That's in Chicago. And then we have Absolution Fest right here in Tampa. That'll be in October of this year.
Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch more.
Yeah.
We could drown you in a river of fests, which that's the best
Even
place
if
to
we
be.
thought of outside of the United States. Way more. Okay.
And on to the album. We listened to Trust Ruins, the latest album by All Your Sisters, out on the Flenser Records. This was released on April 12th. And
why don't you give us a little bit of background about All Your Sisters, what they sounded like before this album?
They still had a little bit of this noise, almost industrial sound, but it was definitely a lot more guitar driven and a lot moodier in a way that I prefer out of my post punk. Trust Ruins, though, I have to be straight up about it. I did not like it. And I think that it has to do with the way that it was recorded. So Jordan Morrison said in an interview with Post Punk that the way that Trust Ruins was laid out was completely different than Uncomfortable Skin, which I adored. And with Uncomfortable Skin, apparently they had recorded the guitar parts and bass parts and fleshed the song out from that direction. So a lot of the tweaking in like the noise and the beats was done after the guitar and bass parts, my favorite parts, were already well and done. Whereas on Trust Ruins, the drum beats and the noisy bits and the synth pads and the guitar chords were fleshed out before going into the studio and adding everything else. And
that's an odd way to write music. So to me, it sounds very noisy. That's the first thing you hear, and it almost loses the melody in these tracks.
It's very very experimental in some places, which not my favorite.
So yeah, and then somebody commented that it was very industrial post-punk, and I love industrial music, but I didn't really connect with this one that much. I guess it might take a few listens, but it didn't seem either like post-punk or like industrial for me. It just kind of fell somewhere in the middle. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. So if noise and post-punk and industrial sound beautiful to you, please go check it out. We have heard a lot of positive comments on the album. We just don't feel the same way. So by no means does our opinion mean you shouldn't go, give it a listen and give us your own opinion on it.
And what's interesting is, you take an album like the one by VR Sex that's also noisy post-punk, but it's done differently. It's like
a bit more like lo-fi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
still like garage band and everything, but also very melodic. I didn't find any true melodies in the All Your Sisters tracks. Sorry.
Yeah, and if you disagree with us, if there was something you absolutely loved about this album, please let us know. We are always open to different opinions. We're just two women, so.
All right.
Yeah.
I also want to mention that there are a lot of compilations out right now that are definitely worth checking out. First and foremost, on Cold Transmissions Music. They're a great label. You can find their stuff on Bandcamp. They have put out 2 more compilations in the Zeitgeist series. If you haven't heard of this, go look it up. There are already some great tracks that I've never heard of before. I found some really cool bands. Yeah. They just released Zeitgeist Volume 8 and Zeitgeist Volume 9. And just to give a little bit of insight about our different tastes, I really love Zeitgeist Volume 9.
And I like number 8.
So Volume 8, I guess, is more of the gothic rock post-punk sound, and Volume 9 is more of the cold wave. There's some synth in there, and that's what I like. So we were both able to find a compilation that made us happy.
And that's one thing that I really like about the Zeitgeist comps, is that they do divide them out sort of by genre in that sort of sense. They do a pretty good job sort of curating like a theme and a feel on each one. And
yeah, that's what I felt about 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, well, those were absolutely done as a series, because like one says Zai, the other one says Guy, and the last says so.
My favorite is the G album. Please show a picture of it so you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Zai, All right, I'll stop.
Another comp that came out is the Artifact 2019 sort of, I wouldn't call it a sampler.
It is a sampler.
I guess it is a sampler. And this album, at least, this comp is Name Your Price. And there's so much on that. It describes how did it describe it? It said, from goth to something. What was it? Did you look at the liner notes? I know, right? It was...
I'm going to make a quote, but I'm not going to remember half of the quote.
And it's a simple quote. It's so short and I can't remember it.
Let's just make our own word. From goth to...
Grindcore. Was it grindcore? I don't remember. Can we look this up?
Hold for edit.
Hold for edit.
But actually leave all of that in there. It doesn't say.
No, it does too. It does say grindcore.
Okay. So it does say grindcore.
I like a lot of what's on there.
I don't even know what's considered grindcore on here. So if you know what that is, please just let us know in the comments below, because yeah, we're dumb. Yeah, so I am really pleased with all the artists that are on this Artifact Records compilation. I'm especially excited about the new Wingtips track called Death Pursuit, I do believe. It's brand new, just dropped this week on that album. And you can find it on Spotify.
And the last comp that we wanted to talk about, it's another Name Your Price. And I'm going to butcher the name of it because it is very in German. But it is Die Seele Stimmen der Zelle.
Die Zelle?
Is that how it is? Die Zelle?
Die Zelle Stimmen der Zelle.
Die Zelle Stimmen der Zelle.
I didn't learn much at Communion After Dark, but because we play a lot of German music, we got our buttholes reamed for saying things wrong.
I believe it. And this is volume 4. And I looked through it, and it is a compilation that is curated by the webzine Die Zelle. And on it, they have a bunch of... They also do a radio show. They have a bunch of unsigned and tiny-ass underground little bands. And...
Cool.
I only knew one band on there. Actually, I think I might have known 2, but the one that I can remember is Grey Gallows. And
yay!
I was just listening through it, clicking around because I was, doing other things I was writing at the time. But I love it. Every band that they found on that album and put on there is right up my alley.
Is it all like post-punk gothic or?
No, there's definitely some stuff on there that you would really enjoy. That's more like synthwave. I think some of it is a little bit more minimal.
Awesome. All right. I haven't heard of it, so I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah. And links to all of this is in the description below. So despite our butchering, you shall still have access.
Don't make fun of us for our pronunciation.
Or do.
Just many other things to make fun of us for. Many.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on.
So, as always, what did you think of the albums that we reviewed? Please leave your comments below, and we might even read some on the next episode. And that's it for this week. If you liked our videos, please, of course, like, subscribe, comment. It all helps us, and it shows us that you love us and we love you. Don't ever forget that. You're wonderful. And please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have access to a lot of exclusive content. We have a Patreon-only Discord server. We don't have merch offerings yet, but we do giveaways, and you won't have access to some of those, but you'll have, depending on what tier you pick, maybe extra entries. And
don't forget to visit our website for interviews and reviews and mixes.
All right. Thank you again.
And
See
good
you
night.
next week.